Hello, I've come out to the workshop today to make a thin strip jig for my table saw so that I can make repeated cuts of thin strips that all come out exactly the same size. I had researched this on YouTube and most people do it all the same way, and that was the way that I was going to do it. But when I then came out to my table saw and looked at the bits and pieces of scrap that I had available, I decided to do something different, and this is what this video is about. You might also notice that I've put my dust extractor on the wall. If you want to see a video on that, then let me know in the comments. So without any further waffle, let's get tinkering. I reckon this is all the bits I need to make this jig. I got all of these out of my scrap bin, which I normally fill up and give to my friend who's got a wood burner to burn, but I've rescued these so we can make something useful. So we're now at the table saw. Let me explain my plan. My table saw includes this sliding table with a fence, and it has a flag stop with a micro adjuster on it. And I'm going to utilise this for the adjustment. I plan to have a piece of wood here. So I'll cut to size, and I'm going to cut it so that the micro adjuster is at 10 centimetres. That'll just make reading off of this, if I want to, a lot easier. And then I think I'll put a piece of wood here and a piece of wood in this slot so that I can then screw down and lock it in place once I've got this all assembled as I want it, as a stop. To micro adjust it, you'll just move this in and out, push it up against the stop, and then tighten the knob to lock it down. So that seems pretty simple. Hopefully it'll be easy to make. All the edges on this piece of wood seem straight, but I'm not convinced that any of the corners are square, so I'm going to start by just tidying this up a little. I can get this square by first cutting the two sides using the fence. This ensures the sides are parallel. Then using the sliding table I can cut at 90 degrees to these sides. Now with this still locked in place, I can cut this to exactly 100 millimetres. So if you noticed all that dust that was created, I forgot to turn the dust extractor on. So these two pieces are exactly the same size, are exactly 100 millimetres, and I'm now going to glue them like that. Just going to make sure this edge is square by cutting a little bit off. I now cut and shape the carriage that will fit inside the track and the piece that will clamp to it. This is probably the most fiddly bit. I've marked the centre. This drill isn't quite big enough really, so I'm going to have to chop it out using chisel, and I want to go through so that this just protrudes the other side and no further. So I'm not clamping it, I'm using my hands because I want to be able to feel when it's gone through. This hole will be to fit a nut. Just coming through now, and just start to see the hole, so I don't want to go any deeper than that. I shape the hole to a rough nut shape, testing periodically. I want it to be a friction fit. I now cut a corresponding hole in the piece that the T-slot carriage will attach to. And then glue this piece to the jig. To make its recess, because I didn't have enough thread on this thumb bolt because of this shoulder that it's got. So it just goes in there like that, and that works fine. I've noticed a small problem which I can fix. This bit here is quite long, and as a result there's a lot of leverage here, so if I just push here I can move it and it's pivoting on this, whereas if I make it smaller I can't move it. So I'm going to chop it in half, make it a bit smaller, and then I won't have the problem of it potentially moving in the middle of a cut or between cuts. So this is going to need some modification. What I've found after I've used it a few times is that when you butt the fence up like that, lock it in place, it can sometimes be quite stiff because of the friction between these two pieces, and if I loosen the fence then I've lost that accuracy. So I need to redesign this so that it doesn't get in the way when I'm actually cutting something. So that's what I'm now going to have a go at. I mark where the fence comes to and cut the jig in two. I then cut off the back piece, which I no longer need,
and keep the other bit, which will be reattached using a hinge. My usual drill can't reach where I need the holes to be, so I use my PROXXON rotary tool with the flex shaft. If you're thinking of buying a rotary tool, check out my review of this one. I'll find a spring from my collection and then drill a hole to accommodate it.
So let me show you how this works. This fits in the T-track like so, then tighten it down. You can then bring this to the saw, measure the distance that you want for your piece of thin strip. You can adjust it using the flag stop in and out to how you want it. You then lock the whole thing down, bring this back, then take your piece of wood, butt your piece of wood up against the stop, slide your fence up against the stop, lock the fence in place, remove the piece of wood, flip that out of the way, and now you can cut. And now I'll show you some things that I've cut. .52, 4.50. So I've succeeded in creating my first ever jig for the table saw. I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a thumbs up. It really does help. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.